Hey, what's up, locker room? You know, I was waiting to see what would come out as we get closer to the draft about some situation about an athlete that is highly thought of and is about to enter the draft and get drafted. Every year, there's some story that comes out that usually this will cause him to drop. And this year, we got the story. I'm sure you guys have heard and it's getting around about the car accident with Rueben Bain and the passenger. And there was a fatality here, so we want to pause and pray for her and the family. Send out condolences there. And it happened in 2024. And Ruben was driving. They said Ruben was cited for careless driving. It was dropped way before the victim, unfortunately, passed away. You know, when you look at it, you say, wow, that's so sad. You know, and the story comes out. And now people are digging into it. And so the victim's parents have come out and said, we do not want to do anything to harm Ruben Bain. We wish him the best in the draft and everything. You know, we wish for our privacy in this matter. And it makes me think, okay, there's no police report, no police after him, there's nothing here. There's no crime here, there's no nothing here. But, unfortunately, you can't say there's no nothing because unfortunately somebody lost their life. But the NFL teams have even said they knew about this. Of course, they knew about it, and they looked it up and they've investigated and they feel good about it. And those are different situations, especially the victim and her family. And the NFL saying they knew. And them putting their story out right here also. And that third piece is the piece of putting this story right here, right now, that you have to address. And I strategically have not mentioned who wrote this story initially to start it. Because I want to have thoughts freely without anybody saying Mike said this and Mike said that. I'm just saying the things I think about when I see something that happened years ago. And then right before you get an opportunity to may have your greatest day of your life, and have a big day in your life, this stuff comes out. Now, first, I say, how long did you have this story? You see, and it's a story, and everybody's talking about it. I'm talking about it. But I'm looking at it from that perspective. Okay, it's a story because everybody's talking about it. It's not the story that you hope for because you drop it here and then you see him drop, and now you got a story on top of your story that gives you as a reporter some feeling of great glory. You know, like, did you know this in 2025 and not write it? Did you wait a week before the NFL draft and say, now I'm going to drop it because it'll be most effective? If I wrote this story a year ago, then it wouldn't have gotten such traction. But I write it here, and if nobody knows about it and he does a big drop, then I get attached to that drop. Well, you remember the story that such and such wrote? Yeah, that got him dropped all the way down. So you get two stories. And I guess for you, you get to share two glories. I just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the police investigated it. They dropped the careless driving charge. And now you see what people are doing. And this, I don't know, but I feel for it all. It's our thirst to see a person fall. One thing, a reporter's thirst to try to climb over somebody's back to do something like this. I'm not saying he did, but it just seemed, you gonna drop the story right here. It's a story. I don't know how long you had this story, but to drop it right here, that's just, yeah. Mm. And that's clickbait stuff. And you guys see watch what happens now. And this, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this, boy, golly. Mm, 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 mm. You see, you know, I want to, uh, well, stuff like this. Well, now what people are doing is coming up with everything. Oh, he had a speeding ticket over here. Oh, he has gotten warned about that before over here. Let me just say y'all this. In college, I've gotten speeding tickets and everything, but then they start calling it, is that a pattern? Is that a problem? Because you got a ticket over here and you got this situation because this fatal accident is attached to it. So you understand why people go and search all of those things, but they perpetuate it and put it out there like, oh my God, it's almost like you criminal. Did he get away with it? Has he done this before? Has anybody else been hurt? Like now you go digging and looking for stuff. And then, everybody tries to enhance their stories. Now, most of the NFL has heard about it and knows about it. But one GM says, yeah, maybe he wasn't totally upfront with everybody when he was talking about this. Or one GM says, yeah, there may be another shoe dropping about this. So everybody now starts wondering in their mind and what they call a self-fulfilling, try to find that self-fulfilling prophecy. If we all believe it, maybe something else will really pop up. So what I'm talking about, that this self-fulfilling prophecy, since so many people are saying something must have happened, something must have happened, then everybody goes to searching, something must have happened, what happened, where did it happen, when it happened, why it happened, how it happened. Sooner or later, you'll have things that young men have done, that we all have done. And people are saying, oh, yeah, remember he did this over here when it was 12 years old. It's another red flag. And this tumble falls. It's just, it happens every year. And it's someone, people like this that comes out and said, well, write this thing right now, right before then, even though we might have had it for a year. I don't know how long they had. I don't know. But as an inquisitive man, one must inquire. one must inquire. Here again, all I can say, and that's nothing else. Sometimes, I know you guys don't believe it, but and, I believe these things have happened. There are great stories all around all the time. But what about a GM is somebody that knew about it, but knew it was never a big story about it, but they want him to drop to his team and they're down low on the draft and they pass that over to a reporter and the reporter runs that story. Now, the team in front of them that may have wanted Ruben Bain, maybe that'll slip them by him. I'm telling you, yes, the game gets this dirty too. The game gets this dirty. So that's why I want to spit a wide spread. Come on, man. What's really going on with that? So it covers the reporter, and if either the GMs are trying stuff like that. You know what I mean? Either way, I'm just saying. It's crazy. And yeah, I must admit, I must confess in self-indict that it hurts because it's Ruben Bane. But it hurts more because it's Ruben Bane. But then it would hurt even if it wasn't. Like, like I'm pulling for all young men. Yeah, and I know nobody's going to be perfect, and young men are going to have issues, hopefully young issues. And the law even make concessions for that. That's why they get to expunge their record after a certain age. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying driving recklessly or being cited for careless driving is I'm not okaying it or anything. I'm just saying I'm looking at the reality of it. And college student, I'm I'm just looking at the reality of it. And I just don't like the timing of it. I don't like the ambushy feeling that I got with it. As a matter of fact, people are calling it that too, because they're liking it to the Laramie Tonsil stuff, where, the cell phone that got hacked and they released his weed mask image, video of him. But let me say this to y'all out there that maybe not know that story, and I'll say this to Ruben Bain over here. Go look it up. What them dudes used to try to kill Laramie Thompson. You tried to use that dirt to cover his grave, but he stood on top of that dirt. And you made him a little power for his kingship. Because Laramie Thompson has made so much money. Getting drafted by the Dolphins, get traded to Houston. And I think then he went to the Commander. But making bank, you know what I'm saying? And Ruben Bain will be the next. So you guys, put your tongue on them now, talking all that noise. I'll have to say, like they say in New York, pause on that one. But trust me, you will have to put your tongue on them later. Well, now you bring all this attention towards him, like you did with Shador, and he shows up next year, and he walks that walk. He'll never talk a talk because he's a firm, good dude. Not a loud, boisterous dude. But he will walk that walk. And then all of y'all will remember him. Just saw the sad parts coming up on his ride. And again, let me pray for the families, for the family and the victim. God bless my peeps.